Today I'd like to show you how to mark a combination 10 division Japanese Temari ball. I have the technique outlined in my book Temari Techniques, and we're going to do the beginning one where you start from a simple 10 division. This is on page 37, and this is where you should start, marking a simple 10 division from a simple 10 division to a combination 10 division. This method will give you a good picture of the setup for the pins and how this whole thing works out. So get yourself ready. You want a ball, thread wrapped ball, a paper strip, some pins, and if you want to color code and follow it like I did in this book, you're going to need several different colors of thread. I'm going to mark it first with gold metallic, and then I'm going to wrap green thread for some of the guidelines, and then I'm going to use red thread and blue thread and yellow thread. Of course, normally you're going to do this with all the same color thread metallic, but this is the way we're going to start for the first time. So here I have my thread wrapped ball, and I want to find my two poles. Here I put a pin in. And this is the paper marking strip. It's not quite long enough for one time around the ball, so I did tape two of them together. And what you want to do is just fold it back so that fold is resting up against the shaft of the pin, and give it a little crease. And then we're going to pivot and check in a different direction. For a combination 10 division, you want your ball to be as round as possible. So check it. Move your pin and check it in different directions. If you find that one way is not quite right, let's mold the ball a little bit. Try to get it round. Check it in this direction. I'm going to move the pin several times, so I'm sure that this ball is going to be round to start with. Okay. So now I've got one pin in the ball, close to the end of the paper strip, and I've wrapped it around in several different directions. I know that this is a round ball, at least as round as I can get it. And then I have cut the length of the paper strip to the circumference of the ball, and I fold it in half, cut a little notch. That gives me a spot for the pin on the opposite side of the ball. Fold it in half again and cut a little notch here. That will give me the spot for the equator pins on the ball. Okay, now that I have two pole pins in, I have a white and a white exactly opposite. I like to put pins in around the equator. I'm going to use the quarter mark on my paper strip, and this time I want to color code the pins. I've got 5 different colors here, and I'd like to place them opposite each other. So first I'm going to put a green in, and then I'll put a green in opposite. So now as I go around, I'm going to pick up one of each color. This is going to help adding the guidelines later to be able to follow these colors. Got blue, yellow, and the little one here is purple. So now we'll put the rest of them in. We have red, opposite. Blue is opposite the other blue. Yellow is opposite this yellow. The last little one is a purple. The next step is to space your equator pins so that they're the same distance around the ball and they're equally spaced. You have 10 of them that we've put in the ball. So I remove my paper marking strip from the white pin, and I have pinned a tape measure in place. I have some extra pins, so it's just holding in place right here. I measure my circumference. It's 29.2. So I put that into the calculator, divided by 10, equals. And so I'm going to move this first pin. I have a pin at 0, And then I'm going to put a pin at 2.9. I'll average it out. Okay, and then I'll go plus 2.9 to equals, and I'll move this next pin to 5.8, always rounding. And now I'm just going to have to press the equals button. 8.676, let's round that to 8.8, equals, let's go with 11.7. So we're just moving them sideways, trying not to move them up and down at all. We go 14.6 and 17.5, 20.4, 23.4, 26.3, move that over just a little bit. Now we're back to where we started. We can remove this tape measure. Yeah, we have the pins in place for a simple 10 division. We have color coded so that we have colors opposite each other, and all the 10 pins around the equator are spaced equally. The first set of guidelines I want to add in metallic, and I'm using gold. This is Nordic Gold by Rainbow Gallery. So I take my needle and I thread it. I'm going to leave it attached to the spool right now. I like doing it this way because then you don't have to measure how long you want it to be. So I've gone down in at the North Pole. I've come out a couple of inches away. Tie knot. I'm going to cut the tail short and pull that till it just goes under the thread wrap. And if it doesn't, I can use the point of my scissors. They're not too awfully sharp, so I can just push it right down in. And now I'm going to wrap the vertical guidelines. I do have a method to this where I would like the lines to end up always to the left side of the pins at the equator. So here I am starting at this pole. So I go right, right, left side, and pivot. So right, right, left, left, and pivot. Right, right, left, left, and now I'm done. So I'm going to leave a little bit for ending off here. Thread my needle. Now I like to tack as I go, so I'm going to back up to this pole pin down here. I'm just going to take one little stitch around it. That's really all it needs at this point. Continue back up to this pole. Now this one needs a couple of stitches because I did some pivoting there. And then you can end off. So now what we have is a simple 10 division. We have at the North Pole and the South Pole, we have a white pin. Around the equator we have 10 pins. They're equally spaced. There is no equator line, but we've put in the vertical guidelines with the gold metallic thread. And the next step is to adjust these pins. We're going to be moving half of them up a little bit and the other half down a little bit. And that little bit, how we figure it out is we're going to use this chart, and I'm going to use a V-ruler to move these pins and measure the distance. Remember my circumference was 29.2, so if I'm using this side I've got 29. I'm going to use 5.1. I think that's close enough. Over here you could do the same thing. I've got 29 And if you look across, that's about 5.1. So that's the number that we're going to call our magic number. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at each of the pins, and I'm going to measure down from the pole towards the pin along this vertical guideline. What I'm going to do is move this pin up to 5.1. And on the next guideline over, I'm going to move it down. So measuring from the pole, it's 5.1. And we're going to keep going up and down around the ball until we have them all moved. There's 5.1. Move this one down. Try to keep your vertical guidelines straight. That'll make it easy for you a little bit later. 5.1. And one more to move down. Okay, so now if you notice what we've done is, let's look at the green pin here. The green pin opposite is actually directly opposite now, because on this side we moved it up, on this side we moved it down. So what we're going to do now is to add more guidelines. We've got a simpleton division here with the white. What we want to do is to create another simpleton division here with the green. First of all, we want to check, and we want to measure the distance between these pins to make sure that it's 5.1. So far this is looking good. Now sometimes you might need to spend a little time adjusting these pins, and remember, if you move one, sometimes it's just moving it to the other side of the guideline it's going to help you. And remember, if you move one, you want to check and make sure that all the others are still working out so that your magic number is the same. You can check back up in here. And once you've done all that fiddling and you know your pins are all equally spaced in the magic number, now we're going to do our next set of wraps with green at the green pins. Remember, see, we have the poles here. So I have cut a length of green thread, and you can look at the directions in the book to show you how to do that. The length that you need is equal to about 5 times around the ball. I have a knot in the end. When I'm wrapping long guidelines, I like to knot it and make sure it's going to stay. So now what we're going to do is to create simpleton division here. So let's go past a yellow pin. And remember, we need the green pin on the other pole. Go past another yellow pin. Back to the green pin. Now we're going to pivot. Let's go past a blue pin, a green pin, a blue pin, a green pin, pivot, purple, green, purple, green, one more time, red, green, red, green. Now what I want to do is to back up to this pole, and just like before, I'm going to take a little stitch around to tack them in place. Back up to red and green, and let's tack and end off. Okay, and cut that free. So now we have a simpleton division at the white pins and a simple 10 division at the green. Now I'm going to be looking at the red pins on the ball, and once again we have two red pins exactly opposite each other, and we're going to add in wraps so that we get simple 10 divisions, a simple 10 division right at those red pins. Once again, I'm bringing my thread right up at the pin. Alright, let's head this way. Let's go for looking at the red pin on the other side. We know we want to wrap to that, so we'll go to the blue, red, blue, back to red. Now we're going to pivot. This one's already done, so we need to pivot way over this way. There's the red. So let's go past this yellow, and a red, and a yellow, and a red, and one more pivot. We'll go past purple, red, there we go. Now, just like before, I'm going to back up and tack around these threads going through here. Then head on up to here, and I'll end off. And we've created another simple 10 division. Alright, we're just going to do this 2 more times. Now we're looking for the blue pins that are opposite each other. I have a length of blue thread, which I'm going to bring up at a blue pin. And I'm going to wrap to make it so we have 10 threads around this pin right here. So let's head for the yellow, the blue, yellow, the blue. Now we can pivot. We've got one more time around to add. There's purple, blue, purple, blue. And once again, let's back up to the blue, make our tacking stitch. By tacking as you go, you're going to have all your tacking done when you're finished, and it's a little bit quicker. Past the purple, up to the blue, we're going to end off. Tack these in place. And now we'll end off. Okay, now we have one more wrap around the ball to add, and we're going to do that at the yellow pins. It's the only set that's missing here. So I'm going to bring some yellow thread up at a yellow pin and fill in this one spot. So we'll go past the purple. And you notice I've completed a 10-way intersection, so I'm going to go ahead and tack this while I'm here. Then I'll go past the yellow, and I'm going to tack this while I'm here. And here's the purple. And now I'm back up to the yellow. I'll take a couple of stitches around all of these threads, and then all of my guidelines for this C10 division will be on the ball. There we go, all of the guidelines are on. Now the next step, you see how I've got some intersections that don't look quite right? We're going to adjust these threads, just move them around a little bit. And what you need to do is to look at the shapes on the ball. Here is a 4-part diamond. So we're going to look and see, are the sides of the diamond equal? Are all the threads crossing nicely? You can see this one right next door we need to fix it, so we'll just move it over a little bit, and we'll adjust the diamonds by eye. Now once you've done that all over the ball, and all of your shapes look even to you, if you like, you can tack the center of the triangles. I usually do that just to make sure things aren't going to move out of place. But if it's a very quick and easy design, you probably don't even need to tack that. Another way to make sure, if you want a really, really precise measurement, is to, or marked ball, is to measure the lengths of the triangles here. And what I like to do is I like to take my V-ruler, if I want something, a really precise ball, and I'll measure the length of the long line on the triangle. There we go, it's 3, and then I'll measure it here, it's 3, and here it's 3. And once I know those are all equal, I'll put a pin there, and I'll do that all over the ball and tack those. And now this ball is ready to be stitched.